His name is Mike. He comes from the countryside of Lyon. He has no education or work experience. In order to have a living, he had to join the EDF's nuclear radiation team. This is a group of men who lick the blood of the sword. If they were not careful, they would be closer to God. He was very simple. He didn't even hold a girl's hand until he met her. A short-haired girl in hot pants. She made him stand up without a word. The boy's first kiss was just inexplicably lost. And just like that, you experience it all. Fear, anxiety, your vision is blurry, your legs are shaking. This is what it's like to be hit by radiation. The girl turns out to be Jenny, the girlfriend of Fokker's workmate. They're going to get married soon. Mike's goosebumps are falling all over the place. Is it that open? Soon he passed the medical examination. He started working on thin ice. Everything seemed to be going well so far. He also met her again. The girl who works in the workshop next door is a different person compared to the enthusiasm in the bar. She was a completely different person when she went to work. Their work is like pulling the teeth of a tiger. Today there is wine and today it is drunk. They got their first week's salary and went to buy a used sports car. The guys were driving around shouting their frustrations. It wasn't long before fate brought him to meet girls again. The brothers enthusiastically offered to give both girls a ride. This damn skin-to-skin contact makes the boy not dare to move a bit. A strange seductive power lingers in the car. Is it hot? Yes. Thank you. Mike was kind enough to get the grass for her. The conversation that followed was interesting. Does this happen a lot? What? This one does, but not often. The first time in the grass by the river made the boy a man. But after all, she was also the girlfriend of Big Brother Fokker. He felt a little sorry for him. When he first arrived, Fokker gave him a place to sleep and lent him money for food until he came on board. Now he betrayed his big brother. He saves his salary and gives it all to his big sister. He doesn't have a job and has to raise a child. The rest of the money he wanted to return to his big brother. The girl comes to the door. Fokker is still in the shower. What followed was a bewildering embarrassment. Mike smokes a cigarette and comes down a little better. Here you go. He lends money to everyone, but doesn't like my tights. Jenny is an insecure girl. It took a man's care to give her peace of mind. Mike shouted in time to stop. He can't do anything wrong to his brother anymore. His job is also in trouble. He couldn't do the details that the class leader taught him. At night he was depressed and dull when he heard a movement across the street. It was the same girl who couldn't sleep and came out to smoke. She was less bound by the tight clothes she usually liked. Loose t-shirt makes her more seductive. He couldn't help but follow her. The two of them took off the dinghy. The moonlight shone on the girl's face. Comfortable and calm, but slightly sad. The girl took him to the usual place. This time he did not dodge. In the time that followed, they came here frequently for dates. Forgetfulness. Once the forbidden door was opened, it is difficult to close it. But the circle of life is so small. The sensitive elder brother soon sensed that something was wrong. His girlfriend and his brother would often disappear together. He wanted to ask him, but could not open his mouth. The irritability of the mood is exhausted. The result of his work was that he accidentally stepped on a pipe. Before he suffocated, Mike helped him rip off his mask. He saved his brother. But the consequence of taking off the gloves was he was exposed to additional radiation, several times the usual amount. He was a hero for a while, but he didn't feel brave. If it takes away a little of the guilt, the doctors told him he couldn't work anymore. As a temp like him, once he was tested for radiation overload, he would be technically laid off. In order to earn money for his big sister, he chose to hide it from his fellow workers. He secretly hid the radiation meter before going down the shaft. Life went on as usual. Big brother may know, maybe pretend not to know, but the two men didn't want to stop. Compared to the adventure of work, for the relationship, he is more like climbing a rock, constantly pushing the limits until he falls off a cliff. Jenny got pregnant by accident. The fetus is 5 weeks old. Fokker is sterile, so obviously the baby is Mike's. Looking at the image of the fetus on the screen, she wept. This is what she had to eat. Of course she didn't dare to tell her brother. She also lied to Mike that she was not pregnant. She took him to see her relatives, lying to her grandmother that this was her husband, clasping her hands together. She didn't want to leave the boy. The afternoon sun is soothing and warm. The breeze floats, the grass rustled. Suddenly there was an ear-splitting alarm. Jenny is very experienced. 4 times the siren sounded. It was a drill. 5 times there was a minor accident. 6 times a serious accident. 7 times that's a major accident. Oh, my God, that's 5 times. The worker's wife and Jenny's older sister had an accident. She was exposed to an excessive amount of radiation. No workers' compensation, only forced to be laid off. Jenny saw her sister in such a state. She cried and cried. The older sister turned around and comforted the girl. She wanted to see her in a wedding dress. Jenny had to comply with his request. The girl was crying like a crooked cauliflower. The brother heard about Mike and the girl from somewhere. He secretly told Mike it was immoral. Mike uncharacteristically choked him hard. He warned him to mind his own business. He was already in the middle of it. The girl didn't show up that day. He was lost. Things have taken a subtle turn. A few people are building up the balance, not daring to break it. But in the end, the elder brother found out. His girlfriend's sobbing continued to confirm his thoughts. He suppressed his anger. A few days later is their wedding. He still loved the girl. Jenny returned his forgiveness with a kiss. Mike saw the scene. He thought maybe it was time to end it. He taped tin foil on the window. He didn't want to see the other side and their voices again. Uncertain, he soon made a big mistake. The early morning scraps radiated him. The squad leader was worse, at least 10 times more than he was. By accident. He was lucky not to be detected, but that doesn't mean he's okay. He felt guilty and helpless. He caused the squad leader to lose his job. Big Brother did not even scold him. He tentatively asked the girl if she wanted to go with him, but Jenny said she loved her brother. It was all a mistake. It was time for them to end it. Mike left in a daze. Not a word. And to make matters worse, his supervisor found out about the radiator he'd been hiding. The results of the retest. He was exposed to far more than 30 times his usual level of radiation. He was finished. He was ordered to be laid off. He paid back the last of his brother's money. As he turns to leave, he brushes against A simple wedding begins with a low BGM. It's a rare joy in a life of disappointment. Mike didn't attend. He was not happy. He watched them both come back. He knocked on the door of the room to take the girl away. Brother completely exploded. He beat up Mike right in front of his wife. Mike got up from the mud all over the floor. He knew he had lost everything. He left the camp that night. Jenny seemed to have a premonition of something. She looked uneasily across the river. Sure enough, Mike was coughing up blood at work today. His body couldn't take even the slightest bit of radiation anymore. Hearing the news, Jenny rushed over. Mike pushed her away hard. Her waist had grown so big that she couldn't catch up with him. Mike couldn't bear to turn around. "I'm afraid,"